Hello students, in the third unit you have this poem A Different History written by Sujatha Bhatt. Sujatha Bhatt was born in 1956. She is an Indian writer, but she emigrated to America later on. She is an award winning poet. Her childhood was in India. Her poems have been anthologized, have been published as collections. So, in her poems, she discusses the kind of hybrid identities that the people who have emigrated from India to other foreign countries carry with them. So, they are not able to call themselves completely Indian, or they can't call themselves as American. They carry a kind of dual existence. They are half Indian, half American, so we can call them hybrid people who carry a kind of hybrid identities. They are not able to assimilate completely into the American culture, but they are not able to call themselves as completely Indian as well, because they have gone far from their homeland. So, this poem is titled A Different History, and in the beginning of this poem, you can see the writer mentions about Great Pan. Great Pan is a Greek god who is not worshipped anymore. So, she is mentioning that, you can look at your textbook, she is mentioning that Great Pan is not dead. He simply emigrated to India. So, in Greek, people are not worshipping the Great Pan, but he is not dead. He has emigrated to India, because when you come to India, you can see that here in every corner you can find a temple, a mosque, a church. So, whatever you find anywhere, you can find God. So, gods roam freely. That is what Sujatha Bhatt is saying. They are disguised as snakes or monkeys. So, we worship even snakes, we worship monkeys, we worship trees, we worship books, whatever it is, we find a kind of sacred element in all these things. So, that is how people in India worship different things. So, trees are considered sacred. So, in olden days, before cutting the trees, they used to pray to the tree and then take its permission and then cut the tree. So, people think that Saraswati reside in the book. So, you are not supposed to slam your book, to throw your book or turn the pages of the book very rudely. You should be very gentle to all these things. That is what the poet is mentioning in the first stanza of this poem titled A Different History. So, the second stanza is quite disconnected from the first stanza. In the first stanza, she is completely talking about India and how gods roam freely in India, how the great Pan is dead, considered dead in Greece, but then she considers the Great Pan has emigrated to India, and that is the reason why people in India are worshipping everything found everywhere in India. Which language has not been the oppressor's tongue? So, in the second stanza, she is talking completely about language and how language becomes a means of oppression, in the hands of oppressor, or the person who is dominating, or the person who is controlling. You can imagine those pre-independence time. In those days, we can consider Britishers as the oppressor and Indians as oppressed. So, language can be the oppressor's tongue. So, she is taking the example of English. So, English has now spread into each and every corner of India, but if you look at the history of English language in India, you can understand that it is the Britishers who have spread this language into many parts of the country, India. and sadly it was an oppressor's tongue then. It was the weapon of Britishers to control Indians then, but now this language has become so popular in India, and it is a contradiction in itself. So which language truly meant to murder someone, and how does it happen that after the torture, after the soul has been cropped with a long scythe swooping out of the conqueror's face, the unborn grandchildren grow to love that strange language? So during the earlier days, during the days of colonialism, it was a language of the colonizer, it was the language of the Britishers, it was the language of the oppressors. They have used it to control Indians, but if you look at the present generation, they enjoy learning English now. They are fond of English. The language has changed so much from the olden days, and now it has become very much friendly to the Indians, and it is also titled Indian English now. So that is a big contradiction that exists surrounding the language English in India. So when you look at the alternative histories written by historians, you can understand that even before the Britishers came to India, certain Indians were learning English during the olden days, even in 1600s, 1700s, those ancient times also. Certain language interested people or certain language enthusiasts were interested to learn English for their own interest, and even during the British period, certain people were teaching other children and other adults English language, not with a motive, but only with the interest to learn that particular language. So all these contradictions exist surrounding this language, and nowadays we know that English language, it is a global language, and it is very much popular among Indians. We all love sending our children to international schools. We love our children speaking in English, speaking English along with the mother tongue. That is the contradiction that exists in India. That is what Sujatha Bhatt is mentioning in this particular poem. So these are the major themes in this poem, A Different History. One is that of memory and remembrance. Then another is of cultural hybridity. So you don't completely assimilate into Indian culture, or you don't completely belong to American culture. That is the kind of existence that she has in this particular world. So the kind of crisis that she has, that term is called existential crisis. And resistance, the theme of resistance is also included in this particular poem, in the second stanza of this particular poem. So these are some of the key literary devices that are used in this particular poem. This poem uses imagery, it uses juxtaposition, then the tone of the poem, also the structure of the poem. So that's it about this short poem, that is A Different History, written by Sujatha Bhatt. Thank you students for listening.